the Bring Back Browsing book tag. You have no idea how many times I had to try and say that, because words. But we all have a good browse. We all go into a Waterstones or a Forbidden Planet, if you're me, and you may or may not walk out with more books than you can realistically carry. So the lovely Rachel at Rachel Furry tagged me in this. She is so lovely. She's so funny. Go follow her. She's amazing. I have no idea who the original creator of this tag is. If you do know, let me know, and I'll edit the thing. You know, I'll do the stuff, right? I'll do the stuff. But the Bring Back Browsing book tag. Here we go. Question number 1. Magic of discovery. Share a book you found whilst browsing that you may not have discovered otherwise. This one is completely obvious to me. It's really the only one. And that is the first binding. My grandma just died. And we were shopping for my brother to get a suit in Bluewater, and I popped into a cheeky Waterstones. I just had to. It was a nice break. Waterstones bookshop just like chill me out. I don't know if I'm the only one, but they just chill me out. I saw this. I looked at the cover, went, that looks kind of cool. Because I went in there looking for, I think it was Ship of Magic. Oh no, Ship of Destiny, sorry. Ship of Destiny, the third book in the Life Strip Tropers, but they didn't have it. So there was this on the shelf, and I was like, cracked open the dust cover, and the first words I read were, I buried the village of Amper under a mountain of ice and snow. Then I killed their god. I've stolen old magics and been cursed for it. I started a war with those that walked before mankind and lost the princess I loved, I wanted to save. I've called lightning and bound fire. I am legend and I am a monster. My name is Ari, and this is the story of how I let loose the first evil. I was sold. I was just sold. I mean, I was partially sold on the cover. Then I read that and I went, nah, taking it home. It was a big old hardback. I have recently got rid of my other hardback because this is the broken binding edition. And gifted it to a friend, being like, read it. So that is the story of this, is I browsed. Also, actually, there is another one which I am completely exposing myself here. Ramley Oddlings. This was my intro into Ramley Oddlings. I remember this was years ago. Like the year it came out. What years did it come out? God, this is an old copy. This was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I just pretty much become an adult. I was 19 and browsing at Waterstones as you do, and I know exactly the Waterstones I was in, and I was with my dad. And I remember going up and just browsing, and I always spent ages looking at books because I just loved them. I was like, oh, which ones do I actually want? And I used to collect a load and kind of go, do I want all of these? And I'd pick them up, no, I'll put this one back and I'll get this one. I wanted all of them, but I couldn't afford all of them. Found this. This was my intro to Robin Hobb, and I've never looked back. Robin Hobb is my favourite author, if you didn't know. And this is my favourite series. And I just loved it. And I saw the cover on this. I was like, cool, it sounds kind of cool. Obviously, you read the back stuff, it never fits. I was reading this, and it was part way through, I realised, I think there's more to this. Googled it, figured out, oh yeah, there's like a gazillion other books before it. Continued reading. And then read the second book in the series. Then I went back to Assassin's Apprentice. And the whole reason why it took me so long to get to the Tawny Man trilogy, which is my favourite trilogy of this series, is because I knew exactly what happened in Fool's Errand, because it's referenced in here, something that happened in Fool's Errand. I was like, no, I don't want to experience that. I don't. If you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is another one that I picked up browsing, and I did read the whole Realm of the Eldlings completely back to front. No regrets. Honestly, no regrets. I still have not read the quartet yet. I read book 1. I'm trying to get to the other ones, but it's Robin Hobb. I know she's going to hurt me, so I'm waiting till I'm prepared. which won't be anytime soon because one, I'm starting Malazan next year. I'm going to commit to finishing that series. Also, Wind of fucking Truth, it's going to destroy me. Rhythm of War, I barely survived. Wind and Truth, so there you go. That they're going to wait because I do really want to do a whole full reread, and then I'd read the whole thing together because I've never actually done that. I've only ever really read Fitz's stories. So I kind of want to go through and read them all together and see if I pick things up. This trilogy is terrifying me because I know how much it's going to hurt when I go back for a reread, but this is the other book that I picked up on the browsing. That's my entry to the Realm of the Elderlings. I know, I'm completely insane. I still kept up with everything. I'm not that bothered by spoilers, other people, because I know what to expect. Does it also take me forever to go back to pick it up and read it? Yes. Have I also flipped through like I did with Mistborn because I was worried about a certain character I needed to know? Yes. And then I sat there sobbing, and then I kept reading it and I sobbed even more. Is this me torturing myself? Probably. But what are you going to do about it? Question number 2. Expanding world. Share a book that made you view things from a different perspective or exposed you to new ideas. I have so many on these. So many. First off, I'm going to start with is things like The Judas Blossom. This is a historical fantasy about the Mongolian Empire. I knew nothing about the Mongolian Empire. This opened my eyes to stuff and how that culture lives, and I just love it. We'll never, ever, ever forget the fucking camels in book 2, man. Ever. But this is definitely a good series to get into. If you like historical, even if you're new to historical fiction, there's stuff that there that just kind of open things up. It's the Mongolian Empire taking over the world in a sense. How people are so horrific and there's magic involved and all sorts. It's really good. It is really good. So 3rd book comes out in May. It's time to pick it up. I had no idea this had a crunch. It's probably my fault for chucking books around the place, but oh well, it's well loved. Children of Gods and Fighting Men. This is more like Irish mythology, and I know the Irish are there. The Irish are cool, right? Do I know anything about their history? No. Do I know anything about their mythology? No. Well, now I do, thank you to Shauna Lawless. So, there are a couple of... If you support women's wrongs, you will love this. If you support women's rights, you will love this. If you support a cozy kind of romance that is forbidden but not, it isn't a romance book, you will still love this. Even if you don't like romance, you will still love this. If you support decent men, you will love this. There is an Irish mythology where there's some creatures who just live forever, right? And they're not allowed to interfere in the world. But there's one woman who's trying to gain as much power as she wants, and all sorts of things that's coming across people that they can influence, but they can't take the power. That's kind of what's happening. And there's power dynamics are changing within these mythological creatures with their politics. And there's secrets, there's what's going on. All of that within all these within this series. And it is phenomenal. This book was cool. I enjoyed it. Book 2 blew me a fuck away. I still have yet to read book 3. I do have an ARC, but I also do have a physical copy of this. So I am planning to read this. Do I want to reread all of these? Maybe I do, because this is just phenomenal historical fiction. Another one is... Oh, yeah, it's right here. Sons of Darkness. This showed me a way of how to tell stories differently, and also, if you didn't know, this is about a retelling of the Man About a poem, but it's like Game of Thrones. First Law had an Indian baby. It's very Indian centered. It's kind of cool. Women's wrongs are right here, but this just opened my eyes a little bit more to a different way of storytelling, a different way to kind of view different cultures, you know, that kind of vibe, that kind of thing. It's kind of cool. It's cool. I liked it. Open myself to a different perspective is going to be, if I can pick this up, John Gwynne and Brandon Sanderson. Let's start with Brandon Sanderson. This shows you this at first off, Stormlight comes across as if like it's simple. There's a war, people who are trying to take over your land, right? There is a revelation in this that I'm not going to spoil that spins everything on its head, and the way Sanderson writes, he writes from both perspectives. He doesn't answer the argument, because this kind of reminds me of how Americans colonized America from the Native Americans, right? I don't know much about it, I'm not American, but that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. But he's opening the conversation on both sides of the story. Like, you can't just kick, yes, people might have done this, but you can't just kick them out. There's got to be some kind of balance. Add an evil god into the mix, and you've got an epic story. But I love the fact that he opens that question, he makes you think and realise, is this how everything is meant to be? Is this how things are, how do we fix this? Both sides have valid opinions, valid thoughts, feelings. That he just opens that kind of conversation from both perspectives, makes you realise, oh, hang on a minute, it's not as simple as it might have appeared in the first place. John Gwynne does this exceptionally well as well. Is this an excuse to show off my lovely Grimoak edition of Malice? Yes, shut up, be jealous of me. This, John Gwynne in The Faithful and the Fallen, in all of his series, he very much doesn't just give you the perspective of the good guys. And, hearing him talk, I think he kind of believes, similar to what I believe, there isn't any good or bad, there's just people who make choices. And that's very prevalent in this. Like, there are people who are genuinely horrid. Would they be cast as evil? People might say they are. I don't necessarily believe in, like, evil people. But opening that, seeing stuff from Faith and Fallen, for example, from Corbin's perspective, then you get the stuff from the antagonist perspective, learning more about that, learning about their kind of secrets, and going on through that is, I don't know, it's stops it being it's just a simple good guy versus bad guy kind of story, which is why, like, I class this as old man classic fantasy, right? It's like a Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings, except imagine having Lord of the Rings but from the perspective of Sauron. It's basically kind of what John Gwynne does. He has both sides of the story, which, to be fair, a Lord of the Rings perspective of Sauron, that sounds pretty good. If there is a book out there like that, let me know. If not, I'm going to write it. Yeah, John Gwynne, and this is stunning. I mean, look at it. I'm so happy I own this. On to the next question. Open to change. Share a book that has changed who you are as a person or altered you day-to-day habits. If you know me, you know. But also, just Stormlight, he just changes my mind on so many things. Open so many mental health issues. Go through so much stuff. Faithful and the Fallen is me. I'm the Faithful and the Fallen. Truth and Courage. Just Truth and Courage. All of the Realm of the Elderlings, mainly Fits and stories. That changed me so much. So much. But also, like, speaking of that, specifically this one, like, what happens in this book, the ride that goes through this book, the connection I felt to Thick, right? What happened? Everything that a certain character that appears in the first trilogy does here, and Fitz and the Fool and that relationship, just everything. Especially how the Fitz and the Fool relationships grew. Phenomenal! Just swinging back to this, right? Changed me as a person. Yeah, I'm going to say Brandon Sanderson, just as a whole, did. Because his writing lectures opened my eyes. Like, I was writing and I was having fun. I was enjoying it. But I wasn't really, like, knowing about craft, right? I didn't. Stumbled across his writing lectures and it clicked in my brain. it just clicked in my brain. So now I rewatch his writing lectures when I'm stuck on something and I'm like, yes, it clicks. It definitely does. Saves the Cat didn't do it for me. Brandon Sanderson lectures, which were free. Yeah, they did. So thank you, man, for that. That is the best gift you could have given me, is teaching me how to write even more. And he bloody hell did it. So, which is why, is this why this is one of my favourite series? I don't know, but that's by the way. That's another thing. It's not technically a book, but I'm classing it as a answer to this question. Question number 4. Browse a bookstore, library, or a friend's shelves and talk about a book you found. I house sit for a living, and when I house sit, there are a couple of people who have books, and I obviously go peeking. Cersei's come up quite a lot. Am I going to read it? I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Song of Achilles. I DNF'd it on like page 2. Not even, probably page 1. I just couldn't do it. There was also somebody who I used to work for who moved away that always recommended me Bernard Cornwell's, I want to say, the Kingdom trilogy that's now been made into a TV show. He recommended them to me. He was like, they're really, really good. Have I read them yet? No. I'm now going to include people online who have recommended me books because not many people near me read. So, on that note, I'm going to mention Sam Harrison from this YouTube channel. He thinks I would like The Way of Eden, so I might try that at some point when I've got no fucking idea, right? He's recommended that. He said I might vibe with that. I was like, cool. I will try it and I will see. Who else has recommended me books? A couple of friends love Samantha Shannon, so that's got me to read Pick Up Pride on Street. I'm not her biggest fan. I think she's okay, personally. Someone also recommended me The Dinosaur Lords. Yeah, The Dinosaur Lords. Too lazy to go pick up the book. It was on the Brothers Gwyn Discord, and it sounds like so much fun, but it's out of print, so I managed to find it secondhand. I can't wait to read it. So that is something else. I'm trying to think. I know Laura from Hardy's Books has loved Orbital recently. Whether or not she'd recommend that for me, I don't know. But I did go and visit Hardy's Books, their actual house. There may or may not be one book that I have my sneakily eyes on, which is a signed copy of one of the Realm of the Yodelings books. She's hiding it from me. It's fine. But there's a couple of, it's probably nothing I think off the top of my head, but there's probably a few there that I'm like, yeah. I know Ross gave me Children of Time hardback by Adrian Tchaikovsky, so maybe that might count. Yeah, that's all I can kind of think for that question, because most of the stuff I read, like nobody I know Viz actually has books and read. People who do end up reading is stuff that I recommend them. I'm now going to tag some people, and that is going to be Hardy's Books, obviously. Reading with Rebecca Nicole, she's awesome. I can't wait to see what she has for this tag. And I'm also going to tag Cam's Campbell Reads, because I think he'd have some wacky, weird books I'd never even heard of in his answers for this one. So that is this lovely bring back book browsing tag done. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have an amazing reading week.